Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's a pretty cloudy morning here in the Ozarks. Possibly getting some rain here this morning, but definitely rain just north of us. And I mean, it's pretty close. Tomorrow, expected to start getting the more serious rain throughout the weekends, possible thunderstorms. We need it. This has been one of the driest springs that I can remember. And I've lived here pretty much my whole life. We should be right in the middle of what I call mud season around here, where we're just complaining about how we can't get our gardens going because it's too muddy, and that our vehicles are getting stuck, and that our yards are just swamps, because typically this time of the year, that's what we're dealing with, is significant amounts of rain, and we're just not getting it. It's dry and dusty. We've had rain here and there, but not enough. So any rain we get this weekend is going to be very beneficial. I know what I want to say in this video. I just don't know how I want to say it. And I'm not going to talk about specific things that are happening right now, you know, with whatever, the economy, wars, and tariffs and things like that. It's really bigger than that. And some of you already know this. Some of you have been awake, have had your eyes open for years, maybe decades. Some of you are just starting to kind of notice things, and you're thinking, man, something's off. This isn't what I thought it was supposed to be. And I'm here to tell you that I firmly believe what's been happening for years, as I've said many times before, it's all orchestrated. It's part of a plan to tear us down, not just as the United States. You know, we get very tunnel vision on, well, it's all about the U.S. I mean, the United States is a big piece of the pie, but it's not just us. It's the whole world. You know, pandemic, other things. It's the whole world that is being destroyed, brought down with a purpose, so that something new can be built. And that new may look great. It may have some benefits, but it's not designed to benefit necessarily us. And this has been going on for a long time. Doug and Stacy Homestead, they posted a video, I think yesterday. And in the video, he had a clip of a Russian KGB agent from the 80s talking about this, warning about this plan for globalism and how it's going to work. And I've watched this guy before, and he's dead on accurate. And he's talking about how we're in the demoralization stage. And that's where we're at right now. Or he was explaining the stages, but basically the stage that he's talking about is where we are at now, the demoralization stage. A few weeks ago, I made a video, and I remember I made a few comments in it, and some of you got it. I think most of you, it kind of maybe went over your head, where I talked about how, have you noticed how things are blah and mundane anymore? How there's very lack of creativity anymore. There's no color, vibrant colors in anything. I mean, look at stuff like, say, a McDonald's. I haven't eaten at McDonald's in so many years, I wouldn't know what it tastes like. But when I was a kid growing up, they were colorful and playful, and now they're gray tones. Most restaurants have gotten to be that way. Clothing has gotten to be that way. Music and movies, it's just not what it used to be. Cars, the vast majority of cars made are white, black, or gray. It's hard to find. There's less and less, and they've actually charted this out. There's charts that you can look at going back from the 50s and 60s of how there's less and less colorful cars. Art, beauty, all of this kind of stuff. Morality standards. I mean, you'd have to be a fool to say that morality standards haven't gone down over the last few years, and especially the last several decades. Even in the most, not orthodox, but even in the most, serious branches of Christianity, different denominations, that used to be considered, man, those Southern Baptists or those Pentecostals or those, that church there or that church there, the messages are getting more and more watered down. This, my friend, is all part of the plan. It's not just part of the plan to break down the US dollar so that they can bring in some digital currency. It's not just plans to cause all of the illegal immigration so that we can justify having, national digital identifications and microchips and forced vaccinations and stuff like that. It's bigger than just that. It's bigger than the money. It's bigger than the wars. It's bigger than the government. It's breaking our whole society down. And that's really what we've been watching. The mass confusion that's going on in our young people's minds because of this kind of stuff. They don't know what gender they are. They don't know, they're confused in everything. They don't have any common basic life skills anymore. And I know I'm very generalizing. I know some of you are going to say, well, my kids were amazing. And that's good. But generally speaking, what I'm saying is true. This is all part of the plan. Part of the plan to stop seeing the Creator in the creation. I mean, something as simple as that, where people no longer recognize that. People no longer see that the Almighty, the Most High, that created everything and is in our lives and loves us and cares for us and wants the best for us. No one sees that. No one sees that he also wants us to, abide by a certain set of rules. No one sees that anymore. It's the whole world is becoming perverse. And that's biblical. That's biblical. In fact, it happened once before. Yeshua said, as in the days of Noah. You go back to the days of Noah and you start reading about it. Reading really about what was going on. And you'll see that the world had become a perverse place. Not so much, a lot of times when we hear in a modern term the word perverting or perverse, we think of something specifically sexual, like sexual deviancy. And while certainly that can be that, perverting something is perverting it away from what it meant to be, what God created it to be. The genetically modifying of our food and the world around us animals, they just created some lab dire wolves. You saw that in the news. What was it, last week? They'd been extinct for 10,000 years. And through a bunch of gene splicing and playing God, they created a dire wolf, at least they claim. Now they say they're going to go on to other things, woolly mammoths, we're going to have dinosaurs. It's going to be Jurassic Park in a few years. This is a constant move away from God. I made a video several years ago talking about our food. I've referenced this video many times. Some of you know what I'm saying. Where I firmly believe one of the reasons why they're pushing us towards, eating the bugs and eating the lab-created food, the genetically modified organisms and all this kind of stuff is to push us further and further from God, further and further away from what is true beauty, true health, true holiness. They don't want us that direction because then it gives honor to the Creator. It shows that we are part of his creation. We are part of him. This is to break us down, demoralize us, destroy faith, destroy economies, destroy it all. Why? Why do they want to do that? Because they want to build up something new. They want something new and in its place. And what the new that would be in its place is something that they can stand up. They, the elites, the top level people, and it's a lot of different people, can stand up and say, see, we created this. We no longer need God. God is no longer, needed. He's dead. He doesn't exist to us because we have created our own worlds. We have created our own existence. We create our own food. We create our own health. And I know that there's going to be some right now that's probably rolling their eyes and thinking, man, this guy's on something good this morning. He's off. This is not the first time that this has happened. This has been the same old mission that has been going on all the way back to at least the Tower of Babel. Probably much further back than that. Only just now has man advanced to the level that they might actually be able to start doing some of these things. And so that's what we're seeing. So when I look at the news, or when I see what's going on, I don't just see that, oh, Donald Trump did this, oh, Israel's doing this, or Russia's doing this. It's bigger than that. You know, even going back to when Donald Trump first was running back in 2016. You know, Joe Biden becoming president, Barack Obama becoming president, you know, just keep going back. It wasn't about a political campaign against this guy versus that guy, or left versus right. It was something bigger that was going on. It was all part of this bigger plan, is how I saw it and how I still see it. That's why I don't adhere to any political party or see any particular politician or leader as the great one that's going to save us from all of this corruption. Because in the end, they're all part of this corruption. They're all part of this plan. And that this is something that we have to start realizing. And I know that most of you do. But once you start to open your eyes to that level of discernment, then you start seeing things in a different light. You start hearing the stuff that's going on the news, and it's not about necessarily whether or not we're going to go to war with Iran or whether or not the dollar's going to collapse. It's how much closer we're getting to that time where these things that they have planned start to really take effect. And really, that's the kind of stuff that we need to be preparing for. This is a spiritual war. It always has been. It's always been spiritual war. The stuff that we're seeing in the news and that we talk about in the videos, that's the physical manifestation of it. But this is a spiritual war. And it's been going on for decades, for centuries, for millennia. And the goal is to separate us from our Creator. I mean, it's pretty simple. And when you start to track all of this stuff, that's where it's leaded. That's where it's leading. They want everything to be digital, everything to be AI controlled. You know, you won't have to worry about any health problems because these little self-replicating AI controlled nano robots that you can't even see with the naked eye are going to be programmed and controlled by artificial intelligence, be put into your body, and it'll be custom just for you. And it'll fix all your problems. You won't have cancer, you won't have heart disease, you won't have diabetes. It's going to fix autism. It's going to fix mental illnesses. Now, all this kind of stuff. You lose an arm in an accident, we'll create you a new one, and AI will build it and control it. And these things that I'm talking of, I'm not speaking of science fiction, folks. I'm not talking about something that's decades and centuries into the future. This is stuff that they're talking about doing right now. We're going to put chips inside your brain. And you're not going to have to speak to each other. You can just telepathically talk. You can interface with computers and speak with them just through your brain. This is the stuff that's happening right now. And it's to separate us from God. And we have to realize that this, what's going on in the world, it's bigger than stock markets and gold prices and pandemics and wars and all this kind of stuff. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than Republicans and Democrats. It's bigger than all of that. And that's the kind of stuff that we need to be aware of and need to be preparing ourselves for. And realizing that all of this that's happening, that none of them are on our side. They're not on our side. And the vast majority of the stuff that you're seeing, where it's, you know, the faith office in the White House, all of that kind of stuff, it's all fake. And it's all meant to separate us from God. And so we need to, this is where the praying for discernment comes in, because they're getting good at it. They're getting good at their game. They have for years now. They're getting good at deceiving. And we need to pray for the Father to guide us and to give us the discernment, open our eyes. Ask for the Holy Spirit to speak to us and clearly, so that we understand what's going on and what we're supposed to do. Because these things that I speak of, they're just getting worse. It's getting to be a bigger deal, folks. And it's because we're getting closer and closer to that end point. We're getting closer and closer to the point that they, the ones that's doing all this, can actually start implementing these things. And that's why we need to be getting our houses in order. That's why we need to be getting ourselves self-sufficient, preparing ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, getting ready for that day that these things that's been talked of for eons are fully implemented. They're in real life. They're happening. And we need to be prepared for that. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.